Hello and welcome to the channel. If you are new here, thank you for clicking on this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button if you will, please. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're a returning subscriber, then hello, how the devil are you? My name is Holly and this is my new slot on this channel. You've stumbled across True Crime Tuesdays with me, your host, Holly. Let's get into it. So today, I am taking you guys on a trip, depending where you are, across the seas to the United Kingdom. Ooh, that's where we're from. That's where I'm from. That's where Mike is from. That's where Scott and everybody is from. So buckle up, kids, because this one is pretty disgusting. I will say so myself. So today's video is on the infamous 10 Rillington place. Now, if you've not seen the movie, Jesus, go and see the movie. It is everything, okay? Go and see it. Fills you in on a lot of details, but let's get into the nitty-gritty of this case, will we? Now, please, thank you. And if I don't look at the camera, it's because I'm looking at my terrible face. Do you like my background? Look at the stags. Oh my goodness. Let's get into it, shall we? So this story is about a man called John Reginald Reg Christie. What? Why do people need that many bloody names? It's selfish. I literally have a first name and a second name. Like, it's acceptable to have first, second and third name, right? First name, middle name and then surname. But no. To his friends, he was known as Reg Christie. Have you heard of him yet? You might have heard of 10 Rillington Place. Who knows? I don't know. He was an English serial killer and... So Reg Christie was an English serial killer and suspected necrophile. If you don't know what a necrophile is, my friends, don't Google it. If you're a true crime aficionado like myself, then you know what a bloody necrophile is. Anyway, he was active between the 1940s and 50s. So it's quite not that long ago, but it's just that far long ago that we don't have to worry about him anymore. Okay? Reg Christie was born in England in 1899 and he grew up in a family that was a little bit unconventional. Let me tell you about them. So Reg's family, like his household, was largely dominated by an overprotective father, mother and his sisters, and that's crazy really, because these days you either get an overprotective father or an overprotective mother, or you get failed by the social services, really. Look in the British news, kids. So Reg grew up as a sexually dysfunctional, control-obsessed hypochondriac who had a bloody hating for women. You know, most of these male serial killers really dislike women, and I can understand we're all bitches, or yeah, claps. Claps for the women that are bitches, yo. John left school at the age of 15 and he went into the armed forces as a signalman. If you don't know what a signalman is, they kind of sit where the troops kind of are and they take little letters to the troops that are a bit further back, I believe, or they watch the other enemy. If I'm wrong, then please correct me in the comments below. If I am wrong, Mikey will put it up on here what they actually bloody do. So Reg was actually involved while he was at work in a mustard attack. If you don't know what a mustard attack is, then it's basically mustard gas and that shit burns. He claimed that it turned him temporarily blind and it caused him, apparently, it caused him hysterical muteness. Like, what was he doing? Like, running around going... So although many people question this, like I just have done, because it sounds absolutely ridiculous, so many people questioned whether this was true or if it was made up just to gain attention. And after he left the armed forces, his sexual dysfunction precluded, and, you know, he visited a lot of, I can't say the P word, ladies of the night, I don't want to get this channel demonetized when we have just been monetized. Do y'all know what I mean? So, yeah, he would frequent the brothels and etc., you know, searching for his pleasure, I suppose. He was age 19 when he started going back to the ladies of the night. 19 years old, literally in England. I don't know what it was back then, but I'm pretty sure, I don't know if they did have back in the 1940s, if they had a legal age for sex. But here it's 16, and at 16 years old, you don't know nothing about flipping ladies of the night and brothels unless you're pretty screwed up or you're brought up in a brothel. I don't know. So to be 19 years old, just after the drinking age, I don't know when that got brought in either. That's pretty early to be starting to go to them brothels, isn't it? So even though he had a sexual dysfunction and a control issue and he liked to go to prostitutes, this did not stop Reginald Christie from getting married. I can't even get a damn boyfriend. Never mind a marriage. So yeah, so even though he was sexually dysfunctional, he had control issues, he was visiting the ladies of the night, this did not stop John Reginald Christie from getting married. What the heck? In 1920, he met a woman called Ethel Simpson. I wonder if she's like Marge's long-lost cousin. Who knows? I'm just kidding. Her name was Ethel Simpson Waddington, like Waddington Air Base. If you're not from UK or you don't have a history of RAF-ness or RAF knowledge, then you don't know what RAF Waddington is. It's an RAF base. Even though he still had his sexual difficulties and his control issues, in 1920 John got married to Ethel Simpson Waddington and his sexual difficulties carried on, and he still frequented the brothels and the ladies of the night, which, if that was my husband, I'd want flipping answers, yo. So John became a postman and later got sent to prison for 3 months for stealing people's parcels, basically. He was like, yes, this one looks expensive, I think I'll have this one, and ran away with it. And 2 years later, he was put on probation for violent behaviour. And I think this is where John Reginald Halliday Christie started his crime spree, I do believe. And at the same time that he was put on probation for violent behaviour, he left his wife, Ethel, left her in Sheffield, and he moved all the way to 10 Rillington Place, which, by the way, is in Notting Hill. I wonder if the building's still there. That'll be interesting. Because Notting Hill is quite an old, well, obviously it's quite an old area of London. So yeah, so Ethel was left in Sheffield, which, by the way, where I live, Sheffield is not far away. London is far away. It's about, what, 2 or 3 hours away? Maybe more. We're in the middle of the UK, and London is down here. So it's a long way to leave a wife in those days, right? Were cars even invented then? Who knows? They must have been. So poor old Ethel was left to fend for herself. I wonder if she had a job. It didn't mention whether she had a job or not. They didn't have children because he couldn't get it up properly for her. Yeah, so he moved in with this lady of the night and he was violent towards her, and I do believe that he went to prison for that as well. So, you know, let's get into the people, his crime spree of killing people, shall we? Christie's first victim was killed at some point in 1943. It's not actually... Nobody's actually sure of what point in 1943 she was killed. So her name was Ruth Fürst. I don't know if it's Fürst. She was Austrian. She was a lady of the night. And during sex, during Rumpy Pumpy, he basically strangled her to death. She was only 21 years old, and she ended up being buried in the garden at Rillington Place, the communal garden. Yeah, that's where he buried her, because he's such a nice bloody guy. What a dude. Nah. Ruth was actually having an affair with Reg, good old Reginald at this time, and he killed her. So you know what that means, ladies? Don't go and have affairs because it's naughty, okay? Okay, so Reg got really excited about that first killing. It gave him a thrill. It gave him a need for speed. Well, not really a need for speed, but it gave him a thrill, which he really, really bloody loved. So he took the time out to plan his next murder really well. And on November the 8th, 1944, poor old Muriel Eadie would be his next victim. And Muriel was quite a poorly woman. She suffered with a lot of I'd say chest infections. It says chest ailments where I've done my research, but chest infections, chest ailments, you know. And he claimed that he, being the super nice guy that he is, would help her. And he had a special inhaler that would help her get rid of these chest ailments. And he invited her over. He was like, come on, I've got this super duper inhaler. Oh no, he's British, isn't he? Hello, love, I've got this super duper inhaler. You can come over and take a puff on it if you like. So she did. But she didn't realise that inhaler had carbon monoxide in it, and it rendered her unconscious. He strangled her, he sexually assaulted her, and in the process, she died and ended up also in Rillington Place Garden. Psychopath. It would be another 4 years until he would kill again, and in 1948, Timothy and Beryl Evans moved in to Rillington Place. And do you know what? Timothy was a simple boy, or a man. I don't know how old he was. He was simple anyway. He had an IQ of 70. 70! He was simple. Simple. So, you know, and they were in love. They had a baby girl. And because Timothy was simple or dumb or not very bright, you know, he didn't have much going on up here, he was quite impressionable, so he would believe pretty much anything. He'd do pretty much anything, and he found it really, really hard to get a job. And he also had a really, really violent temper, so if he got angry, he'd go ahead and smash something or somebody, you know. So a year later, Beryl got pregnant again, and she worried because Timothy couldn't really work, and if he did little jobs here and there for money, but nothing much. And she was scared that they couldn't afford it. So here comes flipping Mr. Reginald Christie, and he was like, oh yes, I have knowledge of abortion, which by the way was illegal in the UK at the time, but he had knowledge of it somehow. He incapacitated Beryl, he strangled her, and then he sexually assaulted her. And he somehow convinced Timothy not to go to the police, and that Beryl had actually died from sepsis due to the abortion. Yeah, right. Anyway, somehow he convinced Timothy to run away to Wales back to his parents, and yeah, that was that. So he didn't really get caught for that. But Timothy's mother became really, really suspicious. She was like, well, where's the child? And Reginald Christie, had told Timothy that it's been sent away. And she was never seen again, basically. So his mother was like, what the fuck, man? And anyway, to protect Reginald, Timothy confessed to killing Beryl and the baby. Yeah, you see, this is what I mean by impressionable. He was like, yeah, Mum, it was me, I killed them. So, you know, He told his mother that he gave her abortion pills to abort the baby and that he buried her in a sewer pipe near Rillington Place. So obviously his mother rings the police and off she pops. Off and off they pop. So the police search the sewer drains all around Rillington Place and they find nothing. So then they go back to Timothy and they're like, look here, yo, we can't find anything, so you best start telling the truth. And this is when he implicated Reg in the crimes. And then the police trotted off and Reginald was like, no, it wasn't me. But, you know, it was him, clearly. He's simple, so who are you going to believe? An educated man like me or some simpleton who's trying to pass the blame? So, on December the 2nd, 1949, police discovered the bodies of Beryl and Geraldine. And Geraldine was a little baby, still had a man's tie around her neck, which was used to obviously strangle her. I'm sorry. They were discovered in the wash house at Rillington Place. So, you know, gross. Evans went on trial on January the 11th in 1950, and you never guess what? Reginald Christie was the main bloody witness. And you know what? He made a positive impression on the jury, so much so that Timothy was found guilty of these crimes. And he went to prison, basically. I don't know if he actually got hung, because I think that hanging was being hung still around. I don't know. So following the trial, I guess he felt guilty or something because his hypochondria got worse and he developed depression and he became really bloody skinny. He lost a ton of weight and he was like, meh. And by this point, Ethel had moved back in. She'd travelled all the way from Sheffield, moved back in with him, was being a lovely wife and stuff. He lost his job as a postman and he couldn't keep a job down after this because of his depression and he just wasn't very strong anymore. But, however, at some point around the 12th of December, Mikey's just texted me, oh my god, I'm dying editing the bit about him being... it's gone. Don't die, Mikey. So yeah, at some point around the 12th of December 1952, Ethel mysteriously went missing. I fucking wonder where she went. Check the goddamn garden, maybe. Just kidding. Just kidding. You wait. Just wait, okay? Just bloody wait and you'll find out where she is. I think I've lost the plot, if I'm honest. Yeah, Reg told everybody, all the neighbours, because they were asking about her, because she was a nice person, apparently. So Reg told all the neighbours that she'd buggered off back to Sheffield, back to where she belonged, basically. And as a matter of fact, he actually, you know... And as a matter of fact, he actually strangled her and put her body... He actually put her body beneath the floorboards in 10 Rillington Place. And... he would disinfect his house so much because people were starting to complain that it was really bloody smelly and it wasn't a nice odour. Yeah, I don't know if you ever smelled a decaying body, but bro, they don't smell great. So January the 19th in 1953 comes round and it would be his next murder. And her name was Rita Nelson. She was 25 years old, she was pregnant, and she was a lady of the night. And we all know what happens to pregnant people when Reg Christie is around. He tells her, I can help you get rid of this. Please believe me. Come into my apartment. Come over. Let's get rid of this baby together. My dear lady of the night. So she goes over because she's stupid. Not because she's stupid. If you're desperate, you do anything, don't you? But anyway, yeah. Basically... she had the same kind of death as Beryl. Except for she wasn't put in the wash house, she was put in an alcove behind one of the cupboards in the kitchen. I mean, do people even wonder where the ladies of the night have gone back then? Because, mind you, 1950s wasn't that long ago, was it? So he's depressed. He's lost a lot. He's lost a lot of weight, and he's quite weak. But he still manages to kill people and move their bodies to alcoves in the kitchen. I guess he hasn't got enough strength to put them in the garden anymore. Or maybe the smell was making people suspicious. Who knows? Yes, I am sat on my bed. In February of 1953, John Reginald Halliday Christie, to be exact, would commit his final murder, his final crime, the piece de resistance. He would do it, and this would be Kathleen Maloney. So, like all the others, she pretty much got strangled and assaulted and put behind the alcove in the kitchen, but she also, before all of that, was gassed. I guess like all the rest is like the inhaler with carbon monoxide, the abortions, you know, the strangling and stuff. This was his way to get her to be unconscious. So yeah, she ended up in the alcove, and after this he decided, well, my home is now getting really bloody smelly with all the dead bodies just hanging around. All my friends are starting to rot. Behind the alcove, don't you know? Please don't ask them to be alive, 'cause I killed them. So yeah, after this, he decided to move out. He disappeared basically, and he left all the dead bodies still in his flat. And I do believe that some people moved in and found the bodies. The police were called. They asked around who actually last lived there, and the manhunt for John Reginald Christie happened. Yeah, he got arrested. He got sent to jail. I don't know if he was hung or not. I doubt it. I think he rotted in jail until he died, which probably wouldn't have been a long time. But yeah, what do you guys think to this guy? I mean, this is a true crime story that Mikey asked me to do. He said it was disgusting. I don't think he actually realises what true crime stories I know about. A ghost. But yes, this to me isn't one of the worst true crime stories that I've heard, but it is one of the ones that isn't really spoken about on true crime videos. I've never seen one about it, and I watch a lot of true crime stuff. So yeah, tell me, what are your thoughts on this story? It is obviously a British story. Most true crime things are American, and I think really some of the ones that are British that people don't know about are some of the worst. Some of the most interesting, but some of the worst. If you have any true crime stories that you want me to research and go over, then let me know in the comments, and I will make it my job to research them and bring you a video. Next week I am taking a break. I'm going to leave it to Mikey to fill True Crime Tuesday next week with something. I am super swamped at work at the minute. I work a bloody lot, more than I probably should be doing at the minute, but I want to have time to get a couple of stories together to bring to you so that Mikey can then not have to play this game where I find out that I've deleted a video that I shouldn't have deleted and I'm in a rush, which then makes Mikey in a rush to be editing it, even though he's probably got nothing else better to do than look at my ugly face. So yeah, next week is a break. Mikey might have a little something that he's put together, probably me swearing at the bloody camera all the time. But if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. It will help us out. Give us a thumbs down if you really want. Most it's still somebody's clicking on something. And click the like button, click the like button, click the subscribe button, and don't forget to be nice to each other, because at the end of the day, there's too much hatred in the world already. It doesn't need you to add to it, okay? Buster, I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.